Okay, we're all underway.
Okay, so we are starting the Larkspur Library Board meeting of December 9th, and it is 6 o'clock and 8 minutes. And we're gonna start with roll call.
I, Andrew Revelle, present.
Ahmed Solomon, present.
Ange Ahern, present.
Jeff Gunderson present.
Right. And move on.
And then Jonathan.
And
MIA.
Jonathan is not here yet. Jonathan Cambrone. Approval of consent calendar,
I'll make a motion.
I can second.
all in favor? All
Aye.
against? Consent calendar approved. Public comments, any member of the public? Ready to tell us something?
Am I a member of the public?
You can also be a member of the public,
No,
if
that's
you
okay.
have non-representative comment to make.
Yes, Zoom people there.
We have phone calls.
There's nobody who, yeah, do we Zoom anymore with our meetings?
We're zooming to record. People can come or comment. The link is out there, but no one is present.
Okay.
Okay, so, and. No,
Yeah, that was AI.
do you have any comments that were emailed or mailed to you?
No comments, no.
Okay, so we're done with that. Board members' reports and comments. Anyone has gone anywhere as a board member or not seems to be, well, there was a groundbreaking, which,
Yeah.
you have, I went, walked with that too. It was, very well attended.
It was.
It was a beautiful day and it was extremely pleasant to have something tangible to really display the new building, and those poles make it real.
You could walk in the rooms,
And you could walk in the building
or a little airy, but
and get the measure of it. Get the not only the layout, but just with a little imagination, or a lot of imagination. But still, it's tangible, it's there. That's my only comment.
I'd like to welcome our new member.
I would go.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Should have done that first.
Officially,
We're
Yeah.
recording.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for volunteering your time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
happy to.
Director's oral report.
Okay, and again, kind of a welcome, and we appreciate your support. I'll just kind of go over a few things that kind of got coming up, so you're aware. This Friday, we're not gonna open till 1 PM because the city's having a holiday party for staff, so that'll happen. And then we're also having extended closure over the holiday, so we'll be closed December 23 through January 6th. So City Hall will be having some stuff done in it. Our friends are gonna pay for a carpet cleaning. And then we'll reopen January 7th. Couple of things that are coming up this week, just to make sure you're aware of, that are kind of fun and give you a sample of what we do. We have book clubs on Wednesday. Thursday, we have Peter and the Wolf puppet show, which has been very popular. We've had to start asking, please register in advance. It kind of works, kind of doesn't. And we have a seashell craft painting on Saturday. So those should be all fun programs, and those will kind of finish up our year. All those programs are sponsored by the Friends. And then kind of looking back a little bit, November 12th, the TAM retirement, they presented us a check with $2,000 as a thank you for the support we provide with our book delivery. We do TED Talks up there, and we have a book club program that we run up there too. So they also presented fire and police some checks. So that was really nice. And what we did with our money is we purchased some new beanbag furniture for the kids. That's been really well received. And then on November, and on November 25th, we got all our networking equipment upgraded in here. It was an all-day project, and that was through a state grant we received. So we're it's noticeably a little faster. It's a little more reliable. This Friday, they're gonna put in the backbone, which is at 1600 Los Gamos. Because all the MarinNet libraries are on a network called Scenic.
Mhm.
And so through this grant, we're gonna have pretty quick, reliable network along with all the libraries. So that's pretty exciting. And the other thing to finish up here, we've been working with MarinNet to improve our locker, just how it runs and how it works. So now it'll be an official drop-down location in the catalog. And then on the website, we're putting like a Google map to it and more of an explanation how it works to make sure people are aware of it. And it's behind there. And then I think, in case you don't know, it's basically you can take your library card if you put a book on hold, and then the locker door opens and you get your item just like an Amazon locker. So I thought it was going to be done by today and be able to show you, but it's close. So I wanted to highlight
So-
that.
What you're saying is that when someone borrows a book, they can ask for it to be put on the locker when they borrow it?
Yeah, when they put it on hold, right now you have to kind of call or contact us to put it in the locker and someone comes pick it up. Now it'll be a more of a direct, you can choose Larkspur locker. You can still contact us if
Right.
it's on hold here and we'll help you, but it'll be something you could do without interacting with staff.
That's more efficient. I guess.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
Have you?
And that's everything I
That's
had
everything?
there. So if you have any
The
questions.
closure for 2 weeks, I noticed that the drop box for the books will be closed. I think it was in the newsletter or,
Mm.
why is that?
We've done that many years, previously. And so what happens if we don't have staff here to clear it, it overfills. And people leave things on top and then items get lost. We extended all due dates for people, so there's not really a need to return it, or you could return it to Corte Madera. But what staff have told me, we were able to leave it over usually 2 days, it fills up. It's a pretty big one. Thanksgiving, we were able to have staff in here regularly, for 2 days, and they were able to clear it out. So that's the primary reason is we don't want things left
Yeah.
outside.
And will there be a sign on the box itself saying that their books are extended and, or that they can bring it to Corte Madera?
We could probably put your due dates a bit extended in MarinNet. We tend not to, we more informally tell people they can return to Corte Madera, but we never publicize to do one thing to one library to one other.
And you've done that in the past before and no one panicked and said, oh my God, I'm leaving. Because the thing that people leave and then that's how the books just end up being under the bed for 3 years.
Yeah, no, we've never really had anything more. I think it evolved a little bit when we quit doing fines. I'm not sure when you put fines here. The county we did in 15, but it became a little less time sensitive also too. And then it's 30 days from getting billed. So
Yeah, okay, so that's, and the other, briefly, the donation from the TAM, should we send a thank you note or is there any follow-ups that we as a board are appreciative of them?
you could, I did send them a thank you note on behalf of the library and they were, and kind of explained a little bit what we did with the money and it was a very nice ceremony. So I don't think they're expecting a thank you from the board, but I think they were kind of from some representative.
We should make sure we put that.
That we put that in our letter.
Or sorry, letter to
Yeah,
the council.
okay, all right. We haven't, it will be January.
Yeah,
because it's not on the
that's perfect.
agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all my questions. Anybody else has questions or comments for the director?
No.
Okay, can we move on to the video game and Wonderbook Lone Wolf?
Okay, yeah, so that's part of your packet. So since we last met, we've introduced 2 new collections. And these were collections most of the other libraries in Marinette had. Video games, which I'm not a video gamer, but some of our staff are, so they were pretty knowledgeable. We got these primarily because there's a lot of holds on these. These are actually physical items. Physical video games where you get the Chip, thank you, in here and can use it, it's been pretty popular. It's been fun to see the kids coming in there. We did do a video game day. But with this, we kind of created a little bit different, rule. The Friends gave us monies. So we gave it a 3-week checkout, no renewals, no holds. And we did that so we could spread it out among folks a little bit more since we only could buy 15 or 16 to start. And we'll probably buy some more as we keep going, but we wanted to make sure the local community could use it. The other libraries have like this probably has 30, 40 holds on it. So we wanted to make sure people were aware here that you can get it. And then with this, we did something, because some of the libraries had not, theft problems. So we do keep the actual chip behind the desk and people bring this up and we kind of check it out from there. Just again, to make sure these last a long time and one person doesn't kind of, cause a problem for the community. So that's, and we do limit it to two per card again, so we can try to spread it out, but I'm pretty sure we'll buy some more and keep that going.
What do you mean two?
Once you check out 2, you can't check out anymore.
Oh, two per, okay, I see, two per library card.
Yeah, and then we've had some people where the children come, so they get 4, but everyone needs to learn the system, so. Oh, did you?
What, system is that for?
These are for PlayStations.
Okay,
And they are all also for 10 and under. I forget the exact rating system, but they're all designed to be for younger users. So we only have PlayStation.
and I'm assuming like donations for PlayStation game chips would be welcome if they're in the right age group.
Yeah, we haven't actually gotten to that phase yet, but I think they would be welcome, as long as they're in that age group, good condition and all that, just like a book, we'd evaluate it and that would be a good ad. Maybe an interesting thing is I know our friends have talked about specific fundraising things. And this might be an interesting collection to fundraise for, or this one. I'm going to transition to Wonder Books now. So we asked the foundation to help us with this one. And so they're Wonder Books and they're picture books, but then they're books that can be read to you. So they're charged and a child can, hit play and then go through and the book is read to them. And we bought, these are about $40 to $50 each. And we only have 2 on the shelf right now. So these have been pretty popular too. And kind of like the video games, the counties had quite a few of these and other city libraries, but we tried to make these also so they're mostly available to start with Larkspur patrons in terms of the 3-week checkout, no renewals and no holds. But I think, recently we also got the playaways and these have been, again, I think pretty popular and something people have enjoyed to have read to them as a book. And these also are nice too, because they come with pretty award-winning titles that are Caldecott. So that's been a nice ad. So thank you, Library Foundation. And we'll probably add more because both these collections I kind of think are the type where we could have a bunch and they'll circulate.
How many do you have now?
We purchased, we also used $500 of other funds with this, so we have about 17 or 18 of the Wonder Books. In the county, there's quite a few. In the system, like you can put holds on these and there's quite a few, which is also a nice, thing for people who might discover them on the shelf here, then they can, get them from other libraries as well. So those are kind of I don't know if you have any, those are our loan rolls. And eventually I think we'll open them up to the other consortium members in the county. But since we're small and our budget's low, trying to keep them from Larkspur patrons at the time.
So when people check them out, they need to have a Larkspur library card. Is
Uh,
that how it works?
as long as they have a MarinNet library card, because how the system's set up, it's too hard to like stop them.
So those are not on the MarinNet, they're only in our library, then they're not on the MarinNet system?
They are in the MarinNet catalog system, so if you do look this up, you'll see it there along with the other ones. But if you were to try to place a hold on it, it would say, no, you can't,
I
because it
see.
has a certain material type, or if you
Okay.
tried. And partially by having the chip away, that's how we enforce the two limit. Otherwise, we couldn't, if we had the chip in there, we couldn't enforce the two.
Right.
Because actually the limit would go to 50, because that's what the county, and that's the same kind of with these. We don't have these, but they're part of the 100 book limit that people have. So someone in theory could check all these out at once. We could ask, they don't, and we're fortunate that we have a nice community. They kind of understand to share and return, so.
So, I see that both of them have the same rules, 3 weeks, no renewals, no hold. 3 weeks seems to be a long time to me. How did you come with that number?
That's what every other library does. And then when we create like material types, if we start to make this 2 weeks, behind the scenes, it gets more complicated on the front than you might think. So we kind of went along with everyone else on the 3 weeks, because I can see you could probably finish this book in
Quickly.
3 minutes, not 3 weeks, but that's kind of how we ended up deciding, because they're tied to how many items you can have, and we have to generally play well with the other
I was
libraries.
just curious how that number came, but also, you know, when a child likes a book, they don't mind reading it over and over. And that's
Yeah.
how,
Many
and
times.
that's how they learn to read and to recognize words. Okay. Is there any action we need to take on those rules? Do we need to approve them?
We're doing them now. I don't know if you want to vote to approve them or
It's
there.
what You need from us. But
Yeah.
I don't want to miss it.
Or if you really had, concern over the time or something, we could
No,
talk
no.
about more.
No, I think it's.
Uh,
Back to the acquisition of games though, I'm in agreement. My kids aren't like video game kids. But I think you could definitely build your collection through some donations. I mean, I don't know how we necessarily get that out, but there's tons of people whose kids kind of outgrow stuff.
Yeah,
I
and they don't
that-
really, like, they don't, degrade over time, right? Like, they retain their integrity, I guess, is like playable. And so I asked my husband's actually in the video game industry, and I know that he, like, through different, especially end of the year charity things and, just demos and things like that, there's a ton of stuff floating around, and so if that's something that's in demand, it would be, I think, not that difficult
Yeah.
as you're
And
saying.
to your point, I mean, I do know enough that those chips definitely last longer, whereas like the old like Nintendo
Yeah.
console would get all,
And there's
Yeah.
no system compatibility with, you don't need.
Well,
to
it's
have-
PlayStation, right? So you need a PlayStation. I mean, that's what I was asking.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you need a PlayStation to play those, but it's PlayStation is Sony and it's you
It
know,
doesn't
it's-
matter the age of what, there's no generation of PlayStation.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That they would
Can I
say-
take a picture of that and I'll.
Oh,
can
oh,
get more
sure, yeah.
information? I don't.
Yeah.
I won't
Does the
know.
library have PlayStation?
We don't circulate the PlayStation, but we did get one through the Friends and had a couple video game days.
Okay,
For
so,
the kids, we use those, and it's not ideal because there's two and how many kids, but it was still a fun time for the kids. To play with people,
Yeah.
their partners.
so that's
And-
Nintendo Switch though, which is different.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
We have staff who know what they're talking
Yeah.
about, so.
anything that's through osmosis.
Okay, it's all Switch, and we have a Nintendo Switch.
Okay,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Got it. No.
I'm from
worries.
I put a quarter in tokens
But that's
age.
actually, those are newer, so I think like from a generation perspective, it's probably more compatibility.
Yeah, it's just that if we start asking people to donate items, we want to make sure that we have the correct system so that you're
Yes,
not
yeah.
flooded with something that you actually have to know a lot in order to loan back. And those systems, they can be a little daunting.
And we would want to make the age appropriate
Absolutely.
to, and not the shooting,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
those.
I got you.
Yeah. Those, that was one thing we did kind of agree on, and I think even, I don't know if like there's any of, is it over 17 is the grade or adult? I don't think
there's
anyone
like
does.
I think there's like 3 or 4 different levels. Again, like a little bit beyond my area of expertise, but I think it's like how movies are rated. There's a couple different levels of them, so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But, so we'll work on, see if we could get some donate or figure out a way, or if anyone has follow-up, let me know.
All right, anybody else have a comment about the video game and Wonder Buffalo and Roll? All right, moving to item 6.2, freedom to read act update.
And so this came out in our October meeting, and there is a news release in your packet. In September, the governor signed a law called the Freedom to Read Act. And it basically, there's a couple main points. One, where we'll be impacted is the library, all libraries in California need to update their collection development policy. And that's the policy that kind of explains why we buy things, if people have an issue with things. And every library should have a collection development policy. So by January 1st, 2026, we need to submit our collection development policy to the state librarian for review. And so the state library is still kind of figuring out a little bit of these details about how to review it, because someone is going to have to review it. And they did send out recently a checklist of different terms they're going to look for in the collection development policy. And so the short of it is I'll bring a revision to this group at some time next year of our current policy. Our current policy, I struggled, it's not on our website. And I think I found and updated where it was at. But I'm not 100% sure right now of our adopted collection development policy.
Do you remember, Jeff, anything about ever
It
discussing?
seems like it wasn't that long ago that it was done, so
That we did it?
well,
There was one in
4 or 5 years
2021
ago,
that was
yeah.
marked up, but it didn't seem approved by anyone in the city manager. So I don't know if the previous library director was working on
I
it.
don't,
I don't remember.
It would have been approved during kind of your Zoom era
Yeah,
for the people who were here.
I do remember from that time period, but maybe it never got completely approved by even Franklin,
All right,
so
we
I don't
need to
know.
put that on
I guess
the-
not.
on the
So I'll,
list.
Yeah, I
It's-
remember
Yeah,
we
I'll-
discussed it.
and there are some
Yeah.
things in there, the one I found that are a little overly detailed, like it explains like using lease books, which we don't do, where I think generally a policy is a little bit broader and it doesn't go into the specifics of how to buy and that sort of thing. So I'll be working on that and bringing that to you. I'm not sure when, but at some point in 26.
Let's try to do it before the summer, because that's when we start to all disappear.
Okay, I'll try to, that'll be good to have a timeline. And I've done revisions. I worked on the county one in 2015.
Good.
So I've done this few times. So,
Yeah, I'd be as broad as possible and follow the lead of what you did there and, try to tailor it to our community, but not necessarily. I think it should be broader than that.
yeah, that's good input. And
Yeah.
so I'll probably bring it to you for input and then the revision, and then we'll kind of go through, because you'll be the body responsible for it.
Yeah,
The other thing the law did is it's kind of good for us is it said a library worker can't be fired for not removing an item. So this is kind of in response probably to other states' rules and what's going on elsewhere. So that's part of the law too. There's no fiscal or no penalties in it. And the press release has a link to the language of the law in detail if you're interested. Or you can just Google Freedom to Read Act. So that more of an FYI, that's kind of going on, and I'm kind of still see if the state in January releases something, but I think this checklist with these terms are pretty much what it's gonna be. So I think I feel comfortable moving ahead with trying to work on the revision. Based on what the state's done so far.
So far, yeah. We don't want to start something and then only to have them modified again. But any modification will be pretty minimal.
Yeah, I think so.
They're gonna add things. Anybody else have comments or questions about the Freedom to Read Act? Okay. Section 6.3, responses to public letters.
So this, you might remember, the library board received a letter from representatives of the Heritage Board and had informed about
The size of the heritage.
the room and the archive room. And so I think that brought a question to this board about how to respond to the letter. I talked with our city manager, and the city views those type of letters as comment. So you would be willing, if you were interested, you could form a subcommittee to respond and then have it adopted formally at this meeting to any. So this is talking about all
Yeah,
letters,
broadly,
not that
yes.
specific one,
Mhm.
but that was the one that brought up
Mhm.
this discussion. So you could bring a group together and respond to a particular letter if you had reason, but otherwise you can just take it as public comment.
I'm afraid I'm out of the loop with this letter.
I don't think we can discuss a specific letter
Yeah.
at this point. It's just that.
Oh,
So.
so it was.
I think I forwarded you, but if you want to review it, like it was in
missed it.
September of probably like 4 months, you probably didn't see it.
Yeah.
But it was just a concern over, there was, I think, concern over the size of the archive room in the new library.
No,
And it was tied to a donation that was made as well. That was a little more complex than that, because there was a donation that was made to the commons and some type of understanding that something would be built for that.
I think the issue was the placement of the archive. Would not be in like the main part of the library, it was more on like the hallway.
There were issues between what was understood at the time of the donation and what appeared on the plan. And we got a copy of the letter as a board, even so we are, it's news to us. It's not, we're not part of the agreement.
How much, do you have an archive room now, or?
No. There is an
all
archive
an
room
archive
to a
room.
degree in there, but it's more for the city's required like old things they have to keep in hard copy until time allows them to get rid of it, but it doesn't relate to the library. So,
I believe.
but
that
the archive room will be more of a, kind of like
Larkspur.
out here, kind of more of a history
Yes.
centric
Larkspur
focus.
history.
So how much normally would go in an archive room? Cause I looked at
Oh.
on the plans, it looks like a fairly small room, but I'm not sure, I had no idea what.
They have one thing with archives that they keep growing. We all have garages full of archives.
Yeah, yes.
And we could use more. I think that we should keep the discussion on the general.
yeah, I like the fact that we're just we treat it as a comment.
I agree. Unless it's something that we need to take into subcommittee.
Or
Yeah,
put on
I think
the
so.
agenda
Yeah.
at some point.
Makes sense? All right, so we will keep letter of comments unless a response is truly necessary, and then we make a subcommittee and then do it formally. All right, response for the 6.4. Report, Louis. We are so pleased you are here.
Yeah, and I wish Diana was, I talked to her, she was gonna, I don't know, so
What time did she tell you?
6:15. And she lives over there, so she lives by, so anyway, I think we could probably go, I could
It doesn't start.
start, so.
But first, I want to say thank you to, it will be the first time we had all three, Diane is here in spirit, she'll arrive. Groups, supporting group at the board meeting. And one of the reasons we really like having you, and if we had a city council person to be even greater, it's because a lot of information is exchanged here that comes from different direction, comes, from the directors and the patrons and the comments and it is one place and one time where we can all be on the same page. And all of you are doing great things in your separate corners, and we don't always know what everybody else is doing. So if going forward, we could really make sure to have at least 2 or 3 times a year, a meeting where all of us are here and it's kind of a check-in, and hi, haven't seen you in a while. And it's more pleasant than email, than newsletters and facts on a piece of paper or a screen. We like to hear from you. So thank you for coming tonight. And I hope we'll see representative of your groups
Yeah,
often.
well, I just want to say on behalf of the foundation, thank you for the invite. Because it is remarkable to sit here for 30 minutes and go, oh, there's like things, it is hard to figure out how to get information from all the branches, right? And it's important because people ask that, like the public asks, and I have an idea of what we do and have a general sense of what you do, have a general sense of these things. But this way, there's a lot of tangible stuff that comes out of it. And especially for, the people, for the library people who don't understand the new modern library and the fact that their, kid or grandkid or whoever can come down and get video games. That is not in a lot of people's minds. So just for the audiobooks, all that kind of thing. So it's super helpful. The foundation, I feel like the foundation, and I'm speaking on behalf of like everybody there, but there's definitely needs some way of better communicating and without having to go to every meeting or something like that, or look things up. I mean, things are accessible, but to look them up, it's time consuming, and I think people don't tend to do it. So I think it's a great idea. I think I love the whole transparency where you can be transparent.
Yeah,
Kind of,
just
yeah, it can
plenty
be
of information.
information.
So would you tell us what is the Library Foundation
Doing?
up to this month?
What are we doing? Well, I didn't go to the last meeting, but it primarily, fundraising and doing more, but like I was thinking, we need to come up with especially this time of year, is it more on a schedule? Some people send letters out, but more of a collective thing, but it really helps have those bits and pieces of what is in our library. I know a big question right now, we're really spent a lot of our last few meetings really looking financially what's going on. A lot of the discussion has been what's going on with the build. And so I'm looking at you, Brock, sort of,
Yeah.
because the foundation, because I feel like there is a little bit of a disconnect between like, what's the timelines for the building, or I know generally there's a fundraising campaign for the landscape. And I know there's been questions about, I know when we get together, there's a lot of questions like what's going on with time-wise and fundraising and that kind of thing. And I don't feel like anybody at our meeting has the answers to that all the time. So maybe if there's a way to connect, to really pull in all your information so that then we, because we use
No,
that to our benefit.
So
and
you
communicate
get
each
the
other.
report from work, so, the Library Foundation has started their campaign, I know that the letters have been sent,
Okay.
I received them.
Okay.
And do you have a specific goal, fundraising goal for this year?
I
Or-
don't know. I
No.
apologize for not being a little bit more prepared on that, but I just missed the last meeting, so, and
But your campaign is underway. And
yes,
you'll have-
yes, yes,
That's
and
fine.
I don't know what the number is right now. But the way I see all of the branches is I, you know, collectively, I think that we all should be kind of part of the same pot a
We
little
are
more,
part of
because,
it.
you know, just because it doesn't matter where the money goes, it's going kind of to all of us, but we're really part of the bigger picture. And I just think there are ways to raise
Yeah,
money.
the
even
foundation have been
collectively.
really very helpful, the locker for Ange benefit, the locker that we're talking about was paid for by the foundation during the pandemic, where people, when people could not come physically, get things out. And what other items, recently can you
They-
think of?
They did the Wonder Books and they also do, the book page. We have this book giveaway that some of our traditional patrons like, so you funded that as well, recently. And, also, $1,000 worth of large type, which we haven't billed yet. We're kind of waiting for them to receive, but that's a, you know, a opportunity to refresh that collection. That's been kind of the past couple of months.
You know what this reminds me of too, and I know I'm kind of shooting from all over the place as my thoughts come in, but in terms of what I think would kind of help, just kind of idea wise going forward, is when we have events like the, you know, the groundbreaking thing, to the extent that we can bring all the branches together and we can promote all three. It's not always, you know, appropriate, but I think that the foundation is looking for that a little bit more, and I don't mean to look at you, Dave. I'm
No,
just-
but
but it's sort of like when there are press releases or that kind of thing to really loop in everybody. yeah.
We are a tripod. The library is supported by three fundamental groups. And one of them is for the
Yeah.
building, one of
Yeah.
them is more for a long-term endowment, and the other one is like for the day-to-day, what you need. So, thank you, Lori. Rob, you wanna go next?
Oh, sure. So, Anne's sorry she can't be here, but she's enjoying life in Australia while she's recovering from her knee surgery. So she just wanted everybody to know that the fundraising from the TCF is still ongoing, and you know, the initial amount that we raised was $5 million, and that there was a state grant for the same amount. And then the city has been fantastic in terms of coming up with additional money to really expand the library, because strangely enough, and maybe you've heard this already, but the state grant of $5 million meant that we could only build a library as big as the library we had.
Yeah.
So, which makes no sense, but
We could
there it
replace
is.
it, yeah.
So the city came along and has done all these quote meeting rooms and things to expand the building. In the meantime, since that initial fundraising, the fundraising is continued, and we've raised over, you know, a lot of these are pledges, of course, but $1 million for landscaping. So we should have some pretty nice landscaping, and I think one of the things that is nicest about that building is the fact that there's a children's outdoor area. There's the potential of an area out near Doherty, and also the one at the other end. So, you know, it really becomes a community center in a
Right.
way,
Mhm.
and that was the idea from the very beginning. And so it's going well, and I agree. It would be nice if we all chatted together.
Yeah.
Well, this is
A
like,
little
I know,
more.
eye-opening,
I don't
right?
know- I don't know why. That
As I
doesn't
said,
happen, but-
This is a time and place, and it's easy to, this is a place where everybody who has an interest in the library can come and share what, because everybody's doing great work. And we want to hear about it. It's just, as you said, hard to chase each other, so. Second Monday of every month, we are here most of the time.
And my understanding from sort of progress is that they're expecting to break ground probably January or February would be my bet at this point. It seems, there's a lot that's involved with being an architect, of just getting the drawings done, and then there's state requirements relative to what libraries are, and you know, this is a modern library, so we have to take that into account too. For all the electronics and the lighting, and I think the city did a fantastic thing when they came up with going solar as opposed to the idea of having a big generator out there spewing diesel.
Yeah.
If there was a power outage, so there's gonna be battery backup, and all this is, you know, stuff that's in the progress.
Very good.
Can I
Anybody
ask-
have questions?
Can I
for-
ask the stupid questions?
There are no
Like,
stupid
basic-
questions.
Yeah,
It's okay.
this is,
As they
just
say.
wait, yeah. Okay, so it just, like, I feel like I'm starting from so low during my knowledge base, I should be better. Okay, so the raise the 5 million, I know that, right? And then there was a campaign to raise, I know there's a landscaping campaign, was that to raise 1 million?
Well, there wasn't really.
Or just to act more
Ways to
additional
raise
money?
as much as we
Okay.
could.
There was no cap.
But the sort of the
Okay.
target, the
Okay.
minimal target was to try to raise $1 million, because
Yeah.
believe it or not, landscaping is extremely expensive,
Yeah.
and that's an incredible site, and it can be made just beautiful, but you gotta have some, you know, fairly substantial trees, and you know, you don't wanna be planting little sprigs out there, cause I
Die.
haven't got that long.
So is
But-
that,
I wanna see it.
so are you
Yeah.
down, so like, but did I hear you say that you've raised 1 million, but it could
Yes.
still go higher?
There's no cap, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, okay,
yes, you did. And,
Okay.
It's, some of it is in pledges, so people have said,
okay, got
you
it.
know, in other words,
Okay.
they haven't handed over in big wads of cash. But they have pledged that amount.
Okay, now I have another question. I promise I won't bend your ear the whole night. For the building, I know what you're saying about the city said, or the fundraising, it can't be greater than the size we currently have. So can you explain to me a little bit about, okay, we're getting money from the city, and then what happens as a real result of that? In other words, from what we see out there for the groundbreaking, is it possible already that it will be more than that, or is the city
It-
money that's coming in?
It is more than that. So
Okay,
I think the amount, the square footage we were allowed was 6,300 and something square feet. And the city has funded another 4,000 square feet.
okay,
So, you know, how technically for the state grant, that can't be library, but meeting rooms can be
okay,
used for all kinds of things. So that's kind of where it
okay,
is.
got it, thank you.
And Anne also wanted to say something about the donor, there's the donor wall, which is by the entry from Doherty. And then there's also still naming of rooms, and some of that's been established because some people have given big sums of money.
To have a name on the room.
Yeah. But that's something that's in process, and there are still rooms that need to be named and areas that need to be named, so. If you have an extra $500 million.
We will pass the word.
Yeah,
Thank you, Brock.
but it's been, I sort of got involved from the architecture point of view. And I was involved in the process of selecting the design team. And, there's been some comment about, that it's not mission style, which is. But there was none of the three firms that were picked that had mission style architecture. And it's gonna be a beautiful building.
It's gonna be functional.
It's gonna be functional.
Carmel and I went to
Yeah.
the presentation and we were impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
I was thrilled with who is doing it and the way it looks and everything else.
Yeah, me too.
And I was part of that. I was here when they had the false start with the other architecture firm and it was a train wreck.
Very,
And so
very
this is
different
lovely.
relationship. Very-
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't involved with that one, but
I was very impressed by how every question was answered very clearly. Every room was explained why it was there. There were limitations, and every limitation was explained and worked with, which is the fundamental of a good design. You've got limitation and you work with them and you make it happen.
well,
And
It looks
I thought
beautiful
that's
and you can tell they were paying attention to the library staff.
these
too,
guys have
so-
done multiple libraries.
And they've done a lot of
including the
public
Tiburon
libraries.
Library edition, so they're
Yeah.
very capable.
But it didn't seem that it was a cookie cutter. You want
Oh,
to
it's
library,
not.
a library, I've got one
No,
on shelf too.
Yeah.
It was not like that. It was
No.
very much, we have a prime spot that has a view of Mount Tam, which is integrated.
Yeah.
We have needs for teens that is in.
Yeah.
I suppose every library has that, but I thought it was very well thought out and very well presented.
Yeah, and they were really receptive to feedback.
Yeah,
So I
sure
keep hearing
were.
that from a lot of,
Yeah.
of people, so they
And
should be.
They
We
still
did
are.
give them
Yeah.
a lot of feedback.
Yeah, and it's hard to, I think sometimes to hear all that and
Yeah.
to absorb it, but they did.
But in some of the decisions they had, we asked about the flooring for something, and there was a reasoning behind them.
Yeah.
It was rational. It was not,
Yeah.
oh, we flipped a coin, or because I like it, or because my father-in-law owned the company. It was, we need something that is resilient. We need something that is functional. We need something that is soft for the kids. We need something that is good grip for people who have difficulty walking. There was a thought process, a deep understanding of the situation for every question we asked.
Yeah.
And that was impressive.
Brock, if somebody has a question, because I know this has come up in some of our meetings, not necessarily from the foundation, but just kind of topics of discussion. If somebody, like, there was something about stained glass windows, that sound familiar? I don't know, but if there is somebody. that
It
sounds
was in
like-
your foundation fundraising letter. That
Okay,
you
the
all.
one I haven't seen it clearly.
That you were working to save the stained glass
Right.
in
Oh,
this
right.
library
Right,
and
right,
move it
right.
to the new library.
So if, so I'm Lori, but from Uncle Tree. Nice to meet you.
Diana, friends of the library.
So if there's a question, like if somebody has a question, like what has, there was kind of interaction with the architects or with that, where should they go to see the status of that if they don't have the answer?
Well,
You
you can contact us and
Okay.
I'm sure we'd be happy to.
Okay, figure that out.
Yeah, figure that out.
Okay.
And the architects have been, so far, been quite open to,
Okay,
they've met with us several different times. And I
Okay.
think Damon's been there on a couple of those occasions. But
okay,
They're still kind of in the larger permits and
yeah,
that kind of phase right now
Okay.
too,
Okay.
so.
okay, that's good to know, because I think that was sort of like, where are we on timing? So I heard the groundbreaking timing, but that helps you to know just kind of phase wise.
they're
Okay.
gonna be, I think the first thing that's gonna happen is that they're gonna put in all the infrastructure in terms of piping and
Okay,
sewers and
Yeah,
parking lot, just so they have
Okay.
a staging area.
round up.
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you, Brock.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Thanks.
questions?
No, it's great.
Raise your hand.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm Diana St. James, with Friends of the Library. I've been the president for the last year, though the organization, I think in its present form, goes back to maybe the 70s or 80s, we like to think that we go back to Belle Brown, who founded the Women's Improvement League back in 1913 and helped to get the library started with 243 books. And now we are at 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think our main role, we feel, is to take care of the day-to-day activities of the library. How can we support the programming, the staffing, and whatever they need, book purchases, just making sure that the library functions on a day-to-day basis, and then how can we enhance anything going on at the library. So most recently, we paid for 2 new carts for the library. They were squeaky, which is never a good idea for a library, and a little too wide, and these will go to the new library too. So it seemed like a great investment. Yes, we also had been requested by the library to create bags for the new card holders. So we have a new logo, and we had run out of the other bags. We had printed up 150, they're gone. We printed up 200 more. So I brought one for you as our newest member here.
That's very
Nice
nice.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Diana.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
And generally, when these are given out, they're filled with early literacy learning material. So I do see adults carrying them around.
Yeah.
Nice, and it's a great visual from where are our library books. They're in the red bag. So we did do our 2024, what we call the Season of Giving fundraiser. Our mailer went out the 3rd week in November, and it went to 2,000 households in the area. And then we did an email out to 7,600 households as well, that our library patrons and our own list. And our goal is to raise $20,000. That's very similar to what we raised last year. We want to do that again. And 2 weeks later, we're already halfway there. So we feel pleased, and, people tend to hang on to those kinds of things. It's about 50% PayPal, people who go through the website, and about 50% still write check the old-fashioned way. So we're going to the mailbox every day, picking things up. And we do want to add Venmo in 2025. That had been suggested by a couple of our younger board members, as people are a little more like, oh, QR codes, maybe not so much anymore. So we thought we'd get Venmo set up for next year then.
Isn't there a limit on that mode though? Have they
I
check it, you can get more money.
Well, I think with,
Think about it.
most of our donations average around, $125, $250. So yes, right, yeah, exactly. And they have a business nonprofit status element of Venmo now that we're trying to sort out. We've coordinated and are covering the cost of the carpet cleaning for the library while it's closed in December. That costs us about $1,000. And if you've been in the children's room in the library lately, it really needs it. And then the rugs that Teresa rolls out, we'll be cleaning those as well. We did try to put together a couple of fundraisers for 2025 that were more family fun events. And we were looking at it sort of as a farewell to this library. This is our last year in it. I had approached Dan Schwartz about doing what I call the S'more Fest, where we could bring families together and cook s'mores and have kind of a winter story time in PJs. And, his job is to look out for risk, and the idea of fire just did not appeal to him at all. So I got it out to the parking lot, and then he didn't like the cars there. It just, it was too risk intensive for him. We had an idea for a speakeasy that we could all set up a tent in the parking lot over at Don Antonio's, then come over here and do something where we had sort of a historical event where people came in flapper clothes and heard the history of the library in Larkspur, but people might fall down walking across the street from the parking lot over here. It just, so we let that go, and we'll wait until we're in the new library where everything's on a single level with a parking lot, and there's plenty of outdoor space for.
Outdoor space will be
Yes,
fantastic.
exactly, for little fires for s'mores and maybe even a fire
fires.
pit. Well, exactly. So we're reeling it back in again. And so what we're looking at doing now is coming up with kind of a Love Your Library thing in February, where we'll work with some of the programming already planned for February and see if we can come in and just enhance it with treats and just make it a little richer, stronger program, have a little more of a presence, just to remind people that, we're there and helping to take care of things. And then our big news is we will be doing the Touch Trucks event in 2025. Yes, and so our goal for that is to raise another $20,000, and it'll be our last year to use the Redwood parking lot because of the solar panels going in there. But our goal is to raise 20,000 to help invigorate the children's collection for the new library. And I'm assuming you're all familiar with it. We usually have somewhere between 20 and 30 trucks there, food trucks, and last year we had it was a little too successful. We had 3,500 people come. And so we're going to be raising the price this year and hoping it'll come down to a more manageable level. And having a bit more of a quiet area too, to make sure it's a little more library centric. And you will never forget the date. The date will be May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you. So kids can come in Star Wars theme, or they can come in their Total Trucks t-shirts and have a Total Trucks day.
We need a Star Wars truck. What do they have? What
I
do they
don't-
drive?
Well, maybe we can reach out to George Lucas and see if he'll send out some stormtroopers to come through the event. I don't know. So anyways, that's it for us as far as what we're working on right now.
I was expecting something Harry Potter theme.
I know. Yes, you can tell that's my passion, exactly. But just in terms of cooperation, we did work with the Library Foundation, the Larkspur Community Foundation this year, the fourth one in the mix here. And tried to coordinate our mailings. They went first and we went second, so things weren't arriving on the same day. So hopefully there's a way we can work with you
Yeah,
all
okay,
and the
yeah.
foundations as well, Commons Foundation, so that we can spread things out just a
Yeah,
little bit.
These are
during
great
giving
ideas.
time.
These are great ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah.
Any questions to?
No, that's,
Anybody else?
I'd just like to say how appreciative I am of all three of your organizations for being so supportive of the library, and it's so nice to have, I'm in the same way as what we've discussed, where we just want to be able to hustle what you guys are all doing to the general public when they ask us questions and things too. And so it's wonderful to be, get that dive into what you're up to. So thank you very much for.
Yeah, I'll echo that, and I think just having everyone together, even if it's twice a year, is super valuable from our seat. I mean, I know enough about what everyone does within their organizations, but just knowing that everyone's doing different things and really adding just value that's tangible, right? Like all this stuff, whether it's the lockbox or the, story poles or the carpets being cleaned, like these are all things like we see or touch, and we definitely appreciate it, and it'd be great just maybe a couple times a year to.
Yeah, I think it will just go a long way. for
Yeah, so
our
Again, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah,
encouraging so it's very cool.
yeah. Well, it just helps see, like in just a couple of minutes, how it is all just the way you just described it.
It's
Oh, it
a
all
big
coordinates.
picture.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of that kaleidoscopic,
Yeah.
slivers of a big endeavor. And we have only one goal, having a great library and a good program for Larkspur. So with that, we'll move to 6.5, newsletter topics and the workings of the library. And I did not do my homework, and I do not have the outline. But I do think that what we just did tonight, we did back to back. So we do have a newsletter that Damon sends regularly. And we would like to have a feature or just an output that outlines what each organization that supports the library does. So we can write it, or you can send it to
Okay.
us, just When the mission statement is good, but the mission statement is a little dry. So something that is short, sweet, direct, and informative. This way the public who receive the newsletter will understand the necessity and the function of those three different groups asking for one thing.
Damon's
Yeah.
latest newsletter did mention that the Library Foundation had funded the Wonder Books, the
Okay,
audiobooks. Yeah.
where am I in all of these communications?
Yeah,
I'm
really.
like, I've lived here
We
30
could-
years and I think I'm not.
I'll make sure you're on it. If you get all our library patrons got transferred into our newsletter database. So we got about 6,600 people, but I'll double check if you're on there,
And
because
we
it could
may
be going into
it may-
spam.
It may be the person who empties my mailbox.
Hmm. And we do at the bottom have links to the Commons Friends, and people do in
Okay.
MailChimp, you can see, click on it. And we do have the last one that went out had a 60% open rate. Which
Okay.
is, so we do have engaged people, we do lose engagement, as it goes down. But people do, and it would be nice to have like a feature, maybe like a consolidation of your appeal letter, kind of what you're doing. And we can maybe also put in something with the library board too, or a monthly feature. But that's probably our best way to reach a lot of people. The other thing, just to say thank you to the Friends during Friends Week, Friends set up a table in October and you were engaging with members of the community and had cookies and.
And we had two
Those like
people
this?
from the Friends who were there every day just to chat with people about what we did. And we had lemonade and cookies, and it was sort of a 10 to 2 kind of thing it's actually National Friends of the Library Week. And a lot of Friends of the Libraries use that as their key fundraising time. People in Larkspur, so we used it more for public awareness, but I think most people in Larkspur are used to getting pitched in November, quite frankly, from us.
Good.
So,
And the other thing, just to give another friend shout out, is they did a display case this
Yes.
year that
yes,
explained what they did, and that was very informative and a lot of positive comments as people feed that throughout the month.
That was really good. In fact, when I saw that, I thought that we could have in the display case, the library and the three groups that support it. So that for people who walk by, they have a quick and clear visual of, oh, here's the library which depends on the city. So it's a city-funded library with 3 support groups, and we can make it, that little tripod underneath, and each of you, your logo and things you funded and your mission shortened, and it would be for anybody who walks by, they would just get it. I know. So that could be a use. I know Teresa is the one who.
Books, usually it's we're about a month ahead on the bookings, but
So
We
think
could do
about
that.
it and tell us what you want us to say, because we don't want to say
Okay.
the wrong thing. Or misrepresent you. What is most important to you is probably what should be there.
Okay,
And that would be a really good way to really get people to understand how it works.
okay.
And
Thank
I-
you.
And I have to say, the city council has been so supportive. I mean, they've been amazing.
Okay.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Can we move to number 7?
Okay,
You
all right,
have
thank
to
you.
go.
Good to see you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks again for the
Thank
opportunity.
you.
Lori, Appletree, I recognize your name from.
All right,
all
we're
of-
gonna continue with item 7. Thank you to all our supporting groups. Future agenda item.
Just next meeting, I think we should talk about the letter.
Yeah.
We wanna explain to what the letter is,
Yeah, so we do the Board of Trustees writes a letter to the Larkspur City Council, just once a year, kind of usually we write it in kind of late January, early February, we
Yeah.
present it to the city council, we send it to them.
Any info.
And it just gives you a little bit of an overview of kind of status of the library, what we've kind of worked on throughout the year. In conjunction with Damon, and we always highlight the local support groups as well. We'll highlight the programming, Just kind of a status of, what we're seeing in terms of, our kind of collaboration with Dan.
So let's do that on the agenda for next
Okay.
January. So each of us will bring, we'll think, we spend a month thinking back what we've done and what our goals are for next year. Last year, our goal was communication. So we have to think if we want to continue on the communication, to the global goal that we had for this year to improve communication with everybody. I think tonight was a success in that.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to think, what do we want to do? What goal do we want to have for next
And that
year?
communication that we have now with the newsletter coming forward.
So all this, so each of us will think of spots of
Okay.
topics that we want to do in the letter. We'll outline it, and then we have somebody put it together, and then somebody looks it over,
I usually put it together and then our Mel
rearrange it.
rearranges it, and it's a good we got a good system.
We've got a good system, but you're welcome to
Yeah,
jump in anywhere, and then we approve it.
Would it be helpful to send last year's letter?
yeah,
Yeah, just so you can see that. Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
it's a great idea.
So, the other anybody else have another topic?
I think is it, we need to, elect a chair. We had,
I was just elected.
yeah, but I think we need to do it like yearly.
Oh, that's right. We need to
Because
do it,
you were kind of, you were vice chair and filled it. I think you could still be
Or
chair.
filled it for,
I mean,
Amir with that.
yeah, and we probably, I don't know if we formally elected a vice chair.
No, we didn't.
And so at the next meeting, I think maybe electing you as the chair and have you continue for a
Do
year.
election, letter,
And then also identifying a vice chair.
Yeah.
Who would the next year be the chair? Probably.
and
Who's the vice chair right now?
we don't have one because Amir left and
Yeah.
I was vice chair and I think that's all we have to.
Can I nominate Jonathan since?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we'll do it next
Yeah.
meeting.
Oh, if you would like.
No, Jonathan seems like he'd be very good. at it.
Well, if you think of any item, topic of, for agenda between now and January, just email them and the date.
I think the second Monday would be the 13th.
Okay.
And so I'll probably start put the packet together that week of January 6th. So if you have items or, and then if you want to have anything just to explore more, just send me an email. And then I send it to Armel to kind of confirm as the chair, the final version.
So you said send items by January, what? by-
6th. You could send it before, but I'll start working
Yeah.
on the packet that week.
What is the current library space going to be used for after?
That's gonna be determined. Right now, City Hall's going through a study and City Council's had a few discussions and presentations. And so whatever kind of comes out of that will be what happens with the library space. So it could be staff workspaces or it could be a lot of
Yeah.
things, but it'd be city related.
Branch library, the downtown branch.
Can we, do you have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourn? Anybody again? We are adjourned at 7:16.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, yeah.
Looking forward to